There we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Worthy Collective. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to disappear for a second as I find my notes and do our worthy intro. Hold on one second. Here we go. Can everybody still hear me?
Yep.
Excellent. Okay. Welcome to the Worthy Collective. This isn't just a community, it's a sacred space for your soul to breathe again. A place where women from every walk of life come to rise in their health, wealth, faith, purpose, and presence. Here, there is no hierarchy, no comparison, no pretending. Only truth, only grace, only women remembering who they are together. We believe growth doesn't have one timeline or one look. Some days it's rising boldly, other days it's resting bravely. Both are worthy, both are growth. You are not behind, you are not too late. You are right on time for your next becoming. In this space, you'll find encouragement, accountability, and sisterhood that reminds you you can build your dreams without burning out. You can walk in faith, not fear. You can create a life that feels as good on the inside as it looks on the outside. Welcome home to the Worthy Collective, where grace meets growth, purpose meets peace, and women rise side by side. So as I switch my screen over to do the intro for our lovely guest teacher today, welcome everybody to our teacher today, Bree Jewell. She is our empowerment mentor. Bree is dedicated to helping people create lasting transformation and healing. After spending 12 years suffering from undiagnosed chronic Lyme disease and multiple co-infections, Bree began a powerful journey back to health through meditation, holistic practices, nutrition, and integrative medicine. Through this experience, she discovered the incredible power of the mind in the healing process. Today, Bree helps others release limiting beliefs, overcome fear-based programming, and reconnect with their inner strength through hypnotherapy and mindset work. She is a 500-hour certified practitioner from the Hypnotherapy Academy of America, whose methods are supported by a $3 million NIH-funded study validating their effectiveness. What makes Bree's work truly powerful is that she has walked the path herself. With compassion, insight, and proven techniques, she guides clients to unlock their potential, transform their thinking, and step into healthier, more empowered lives. So thank you for joining us and tuning in as we listen to Bree teach today. And I can also say that I personally have benefited from some of her talents. And so you are in for a treat today. So take it away, Bree.
Thank you, Tam, and thank you for. I thought I was going to maybe be the only person on the call tonight, and I was going to be presenting to myself. So thanks everybody for showing up. And let me share my screen here. Move some things around. Can everybody see my presentation but not my notes?
We don't see any notes.
Okay.
We just see the headers at the top, but
This
that's
is the
okay.
constant, the ever,
Challenge.
yes, ever pressing. Okay. So I guess I need to get back to the beginning though. I was still reviewing stuff right before we got on board here. So tonight's presentation is on emotional maturity. And emotional maturity is basically the art of responding instead of reacting to life. So, obviously, well, maybe not obviously. I don't know if you were a past version of me, you were trying to control everything all the time and make everything perfect and be 10 steps ahead of every situation so that you never had to be in a conflict. But then I learned that we actually can't control everything that happens in the world around us, but we do have control over how we choose to respond. So this is basically a little roadmap to building that emotional intelligence One intentional, Tracy, I think you said living intentionally earlier in the call, one intentional moment at a time. So, I think we always say something like this, but this is never about being perfect. It's not about never losing your cool, whether it's internally and silently or externally. But like everything else, emotional maturity takes practice, it takes consistency, it takes repetition to create the neural pathways that make behaving with emotional maturity become second nature. And even when it is second nature and we operate more intentionally than and reactionary, we're human. We're still going to falter, but hopefully we falter less, and then we find it easier to course correct when we do. So the goal is not perfection, it's learn to pause so that our conscious reasoning minds can come back on board and choose a response rather than letting our automatic subconscious programming hijack our behavior and cause us to react. This isn't abstract theory or complex therapy speak. It is a practical and deeply human toolkit that anyone can start using right now in our relationships, at work, and also just for our own peace of mind. Come on, slides. There we go. So what is emotional maturity really? It is also called EQ or emotional intelligence, and you guys know I love to start with a definition. I think I start every presentation with a definition of something, but it is your functional ability to understand, manage, and express your emotions in a healthy and intentional way. It's not about suppressing or running from our feelings. It's about becoming fully aware of them without letting them hop into the driver's seat and drive the car. So when our emotions drive the car, we're operating from our survival brain, our conditioned beliefs, perceptions, wounds, just to name a few. But even when that does happen, we can reframe how we even see these moments as being moments where we're being shown where, hey, there just might be some work to be done. So psychologist Daniel Goleman is the man responsible for bringing EQ into the mainstream. But with his research and his studies, he discovered that it's actually the single greatest predictor of personal and professional success. So it outranks IQ, technical skills, pedigree, it outranks everything. So the better we can get at emotional maturity, the better, more successful lives we can have in all aspects. And also when we become masters at this, we step out of victimhood and step into taking radical responsibility for being the creators of our experience. And that can be scary, but it can also be really empowering. Whoops. There's a little delay when the slides go to move here. Sorry about that. So the 5 pillars of emotional intelligence, according to Daniel Goleman's research, give us a framework broken down here. So it begins with, well, I have a caveat here. We'll say it begins with self-awareness, which is knowing exactly what you feel and why. And with this comes the ability to identify your program's subconscious beliefs and perceptions, the unhelpful ones, right? Like, hey, if we're experiencing peace and joy all the time, we're doing great. But the ones that are dysregulating us or making us feel less than good are what we're talking about here. Now, something that doesn't get I kind of added at the last minute, and so I didn't have time to put a box in this slide. Plus, we're going off of Daniel Goleman's research, and, what do I know compared to him? But there needs to be a box in here somewhere for self-acceptance, right? Because we can't heal something that we are in denial about or not ready to accept or see in ourselves. So I think self acceptance either would come first or maybe between self awareness and self regulation here. But this work, I always say, is not for the faint of heart because deep introspection can be really painful, but it is worth it, in my opinion and my experience, for the prize of peace, joy, in my case, vibrant health, healthy relationships, and all the things. So, self awareness, self acceptance is in there somewhere in that soup. And then self regulation. This is our filter. This is where we manage our impulses, and this is where we learn to pause instead of reacting, take a breath, and decide if a response is necessary, and if it is, to respond with calm and from a place of love. Motivation is cultivating that inner drive that doesn't depend on external praise, validation, anything that comes from other people. So this is this deep inner knowing that we are worthy and enough just as we are. And well, there's that self-acceptance again right there, right? So, and then of course, empathy is the capacity to feel with others and to hold space for them without losing ourselves or absorbing their energy. We have to understand that everyone is on a journey here, and we have to let them have their experience without trying to fix it for them. And then social skills are just the practical art of navigating conflict, building deep connections, while also maintaining healthy boundaries. Come on, slides. Oh, there we go. So reacting versus responding, this is the core of everything we're talking about today. This is the point. A reaction is automatic. It's usually instantaneous. It's emotionally charged and driven by our survival brain. Specifically the amygdala, that's the part of the brain that's always looking for danger, and it's our ancient alarm system. So it reacts from those old unhelpful or limiting beliefs, perceptions, wounds, traumas, fears, and so on. Conditioned patterns, mostly that we got from early childhood, but also from repetition, from trauma, all the ways that the subconscious mind gets programmed. I feel like I talk about this kind of until I'm blue in the face, but just to go back real quick to our subconscious programming, much of it comes from our early childhood because our brains from the ages of approximately 2 to 7 years old are in a hypnagogic state. They're literally in a theta brainwave state, which is a hypnagogic state. So as children, we're walking around in a state of hypnosis, just downloading how to behave within our family, our community, our society. Well, just downloading the programming, watching how people behave, imitating them, and so on and so forth. And so it's kind of it's a cool and fast probably way for children to evolve within the family, but it also then leaves us the task of later becoming emotionally mature and realizing that we are responding from those programs that aren't always even ours, right? So we take on the programs of our parents. This is where generational stuff gets passed down, because everybody was just doing the best they knew how to do with the tools that they had at any given time. And now we know more, we know better, and we just try to do better. So that was a big digression. Sorry, ladies. But so reactions, automatic, survival brain. And I want to say here also too, reactions aren't always external, right? My experience was I wasn't an external reactor. I stayed silent. and I internalized everything. And so the hamster was basically on the wheel in my head 24/7, replaying arguments or creating arguments. Well, if he says that, I'm going to do this and I'm going to say that and whatever. And so that inner mental storm created a toxicity within my body and a toxic biological reaction that was making me sick. And so the opposite of this, obviously, and what we want to get really good at here is responding. Instead of that either external or internal reaction, we want to learn to respond, because a response is intentional, it's thoughtful, it's grounded, it's aligned with our core values and who we actually want to be. And it's driven also by the prefrontal cortex of the brain's wisdom center. And so the pause helps us interrupt that loop of the subconscious so that we can bring the prefrontal or the conscious reasoning mind back online so that we can make an informed and intentional response. So some real life scenarios here. Scenario 1, your partner forgets something important like a birthday or an anniversary or something, and the reactive autopilot version of us would say, you never listen to me, you clearly don't care. And this is probably coming from a program of I'm not lovable or I'm not important or whatever the program from childhood is. And the emotionally mature response pauses and states something like, making an I statement, right? I'm feeling hurt right now. Can we talk about what happened? And scenario 2, a friend makes a passive aggressive comment and the reactionary autopilot version of us snaps back, matches their toxic energy, or freezes them out and never talks to them again, or whatever the case may be. And the response here would mean calmly checking the facts. So, hey, that landed a little sharply. Did you mean it that way? This sounds familiar to Jefferson Fisher. I don't know why I blanked on his name all of a sudden. Thank you. And then scenario number 3, getting critical feedback at work. Autopilot builds a wall of defensiveness, shuts down, or spirals into self-doubt. But the responsive version of us, coming from the conscious creator in us, slows down the conversation and says, let me sit with this. I want to understand your perspective. So emotional maturity, I always think of like whenever I know we've all typed out that reactive email or that reactive text to somebody, right? And then you just walk away for an hour or so, take a breath, and then you come back and you rewrite it in a more grounded, responsive way. And so, let's move on. Sorry. So again, the emotional maturity toolkit is therapists, coaches, mindfulness teachers, we all return to this constantly. Well, because the tools work and because they're actually practical circuit breakers or switches that literally rewire your brain over time because of neuroplasticity. So, and also, this is something I teach my clients is emotions can be thought of as powerful communication devices. The emotions just want to communicate that something's out of alignment and then leave. And so it's our resistance to them or our feeding them that makes them grow. And so, so we get in the ditch with them or we give them a bunch of energy until they spin us out of control. But if we can see them as communication devices, then we're reframing the whole outlook that we have towards our emotions. So first of all, we feel something unwanted, right? And This signals that we're thinking out of alignment. It's something that's not true. A Course in Miracles would say it's not true because it's not aligned with spirit. And, spirit is perfect and happy and peaceful at all times. So if we're thinking something less than amazing or less than good, we just notice it. Don't push it away. Tune into it even. And I have a technique actually where I even have the clients give it a symbol. Or you can give it a color, or notice the sensation that it creates in the body. Notice where it sits in the body and the sensation that it has. And then take a pause, like we always talk about. We take a pause, we take a breath. Sorry, let me mute for 1 second. Sorry, I'm about to... Oh, geez, how do I get back to my controls? There we go. Hang. Okay, sorry about that. So we take a pause. This gives our prefrontal cortex a window to catch up to the hyper-reactive amygdala. So, and taking the breath, it creates a break state for the brain. It lets the prefrontal cortex come back online. It regulates the nervous system. There's lots of reasons to take a breath. And then we name the emotion. And it's really better not to say, I am angry. We want to watch what we put behind I am statements, right? So we might say, I'm experiencing anger, or you can say, I'm feeling anxious, but sometimes we can just say, there is anxiousness, there is sadness. Things like that. And then this instantly dampens the amygdala and reduces the emotional intensity, so they say, by 50%. So again, a break state for the brain, regulates the nervous system. And so you notice the signal. The pause is a break state, regulates the nervous system. The naming it is a break state and regulates the nervous system. And so these all take you out of fight or flight and put you into response mode instead of reaction mode. Then the observer self, this is just, if you want to take it a step further, then you can practice watching your emotions. Sometimes in meditation circles, they have you notice them in a balloon, and then the balloon, you put the thought, you act like the thought is in a balloon and then watch the balloon float away. Or you can watch them float by like clouds passing in the sky, or you can write them on a rock and throw them in a river. There's all kinds of little techniques for this, where you would just act as the observer of the emotions that are coming into and leaving your experience without getting attached to them or getting attached to their stories. And then you can take it another step further and get curious. Actually, this is sort of the process that I do in my 10 series. My meditation series goes through this whole process as well. But then the next step is you get curious, not furious. And so you might ask, a question like, what's really going on here for me right now? Is there a belief or a wound that this is bumping up against for me? You might even ask, and then you might get curious about the thought behind the emotion, or you might even ask what it needs to feel better. Always with the idea that, I think this is going to come later in my notes too, with the idea that the feeling it wants to communicate something, and it has a positive intention for you, right? It's actually not a negative intention. It wants you to notice something that needs to shift, and then it wants you to move on. And so you can ask it what it needs to feel better. This is part of an exercise I do with clients, and then you can actually give that to yourself and give it to the feeling. And then just notice what happens to that feeling when you do that. Maybe many times it naturally leaves the body because you've stopped fighting or feeding it. And also getting curious about our emotions and the thoughts behind them. Curiosity and survival or reactivity can't operate at the same time in your brain. So they operate on mutually exclusive neural networks, and so they can't coexist at the same time. So if you have curiosity, also there's a tone of compassion to that, right? And so you're letting your emotions and yourself know you're safe. And so that's also taking the nervous system out of fight or flight and bringing the prefrontal cortex back online. I have also read and heard that sometimes it's even more effective to actually name the sensation that's occurring in the body along with the emotion. Instead of naming the emotion, you can say something like, there's a tightness in my throat, or a pounding in my chest. And that can keep the brain's survival alarm system. By naming the emotion, it can keep the brain's survival alarm system on. But by scanning your body to locate and name the actual physical sensation, the brain activity shifts away from reactive again and into responsive. So down regulates the nervous system. So all of this stuff is just training the nervous system to down regulate, and then it's going to eventually, with practice and repetition, rewire the brain and the nervous system. So also naming the sensation in the body starves the ego's storyline, right? Emotional labels like rejected, abandoned, I feel unseen, act as a green light for the subconscious mind to scan your past history and build a case. And so this can trigger an internal spiral or an external spiral. And the physical sensation has no narrative. Like a tight shoulder is just a tight shoulder, or a stiff neck, or whatever the sensation is. It strips away any emotional tie and doesn't fuel the ego. It also forces automatic disidentification again, because there's no I am in I am a tight chest or I am a pounding heart. It's just there is this sensation in the body. So this shift in language automatically anchors you as the observer of what is happening instead of it's happening to me. So, and then lastly, also naming the sensation in the body speaks the subconscious mind's native language. So the subconscious doesn't process abstract, complex intellectual concepts. That all happens in the conscious reasoning part of the mind. And so they communicate through vibration, temperature, sensation, imagery. And so placing your hand on your heart and acknowledging the literal physical contraction within the body says, I'm safe, and allows that emotion to move through you instead of getting stuck. And of course, we have to talk about Jefferson Fisher. Wouldn't be a worthy presentation without some Jefferson Fisher. He's so good at showing us ways to have responsive, grounded, intentional conversations without being pushovers, right? So slowing the words down. When emotions are high, if we deliberately drag our speaking pace down, it physically signals confidence and forces the brain into response mode instead of reaction mode. We never want to repeat somebody's ugly words about us. When they say something hurtful, repeating it gives it more power and keeps the conflict cycling. He does often say, if you need to say to somebody, I need you to repeat that, because a lot of times that'll make them think about what they just said. And he says, help me understand, because the phrase help me understand disarms conflict instantly, right? It shifts the whole dynamic from positioning you as someone looking for a fight to someone seeking clarity. A little bit more Jefferson Fisher Gold coming up. Oh, go away. Ah! I've lost complete control. Sorry.
Uh-oh.
I think I got it back. We good? Can you still see the slides?
Yes.
Okay, okay. So, his communication techniques literally feel like common sense. They seem so simple, but you realize how much power they have when you use them, or how much power they give, but how empowering they are for you when you use them in a conversation. So things like, I'm going to let that sit for a minute, is used when someone says something designed to provoke you, because you don't really owe anyone an immediate reaction, and it creates space. It creates that pause and stops it from escalating. And then saying that might be true is an absolute power move, because instead of defending yourself against criticism, you neither agree or argue, and it takes all the wind out of someone trying to bait you. In the event they are trying to bait you, most people don't consciously, maybe aren't consciously trying to bait you, but at least it takes the conversation down a notch. And then, what would you like to happen next? This redirects the conversation away from historical blame and into some forward momentum towards constructive solutions. So, takes people out of attack mode and into solution mode. This is... And of course, you all know that I love A Course in Miracles so much, and I attribute A Course in Miracles, and because it includes a daily meditation practice, and it includes mantras, and mantras are so good for the ruminating mind. A Course in Miracles really saved my life, and its central teaching is that every single moment is a choice between operating from love or fear, and emotional maturity is simply the lived, practical muscle of making that choice over and over and over again. And you realize when you're feeling difficult emotions that you must have chosen wrongly, it says. And this is how you know that you need to make another choice. And you get to decide again. So, a couple of the lessons, the early lessons in the course are the early mantras are, I could see peace instead of this, so you take that throughout your day and apply it anytime you feel less than awesome. And I am determined to see things differently, because it is A Course in Miracles is a re-education of your perception of yourself in the world. So it wants you to start to see things differently. And these are literally psychological pattern interrupts that have a biological impact on the brain and body. And if you catch yourself spiraling, you can choose one of these core phrases as an internal mantra, and it'll reorient your entire nervous system and remind you that perception is always a conscious choice. Oh, I meant to rename this slide, but whatever. What therapist? 3 things to remember. Maybe therapists want you to know this too. Is that boundaries are emotional maturity in action. Saying no without guilt, without over-explaining, without apologizing, is not selfish. That's self-respect. It protects your peace and your relationships. And repair matters more than perfection. We talked about not worrying about perfection, worry about progress, but we're going to mess up. So we'll react when we wish we'd responded. And the true mark of maturity isn't the impossible standard of avoiding mistakes altogether, but it's having the humility to go back and say, I could have handled that better, or I'm sorry. And other people's emotions, as we know here in the Worthy Collective, are not our business or our responsibility. So we can care about someone deeply without carrying their emotional baggage. And we can witness someone's pain without making it ours to fix. Witnessing is an act of love. Fixing is often just an ego habit to soothe our own discomfort with suffering. Also, something I talk about quite often. I feel like it would be really cool to have somebody come into the Worthy Collective and have us do like a an intensive or something on nonviolent communication, because it takes actual practice with people to really get it down, I think. But I just think this is a really great way to communicate, and it can be really effective. But Rosenberg states, you always state what you see or hear objectively and factually without attaching a judgment, and you always make it an I statement. So I feel blank when blank happens. And you name the emotion, and then you connect it to an underlying need that is not being met, right? So because I need connection, respect, peace, would you be willing to, and then you ask for a behavior to fill that need from the other person. Now, they also have every right to say no, and say they need something in return, or, whatever. But just having the conversation in this way de-escalates and gets to the root of the problem, really, because everything is about somebody feeling like a need is not getting met, right? Like the subconscious programs and whatever is like, I need to feel loved. I need to feel like enough. I need to whatever. And so having the conversation revolve around the need is super powerful. And the challenge for this week is to try to respond, try to pause and respond instead of reacting to something this week. And then I want you to take it a step further, and I want you to pat yourself on the back and celebrate yourself for your success when you do this. So also, you can set an intention in the morning. Today, I'll respond with patience. I choose peace over proving a point. You can write it on a sticky note, stick it on your mirror, set it as a reminder in your phone, whatever it takes. I've done all of the tricks over the years to remember to do mantras and set intentions and whatever the case may be. So find whatever way works for you. And then, sorry, froggy throat. And then the midday check-in is to spend 30 seconds asking, hey, what am I feeling right now? This is a practice, and just noticing what's arising, right? What am I feeling right now? What do I need? Do I need something different than what I'm getting right now? And this keeps you connected to yourself and your emotions. And then before you go to bed at night, you can ask yourself, where did I react today and where did I respond? And this is done with zero judgment, right? We always have to have so much compassion for ourselves. I always say, treat yourself like the 3-year-old version of yourself, because as soon as we start judging ourselves, we just start reinforcing the neural pathways that we're trying to overcome and override. So we have to be super gentle, super compassionate with ourselves while we do this work. And I even like to take it a step further. I've talked before about Melody Beattie's gratitude practice, where she actually will say, today I'm thankful and today I am so grateful that, and she might say, I reacted poorly in this situation and it showed me that I have some work to do on blank or whatever. So she writes out the thing that normally someone wouldn't say they were grateful for, but she then adds the silver lining, adds the opportunity for growth. And so maybe you add that to your evening reflection. Sorry, ladies, this is a long presentation. And signs we're growing are that we pause before we send that angry reply to a text or angry email. We draft it, we breathe, we delete it. We decide not to respond at all. We stop taking everything so personally. We know someone else's mood isn't about us. And we apologize without adding, but I'm so sorry, but you, no more of that. And you let people be wrong about you. Not everyone will understand your growth, and that's just okay. And we choose peace over being right, right? This is the master class. And some days we'll nail it, some days we won't. Both are okay. Both are, opportunities for growth. So just to reflect again, the process is we notice the feeling, we pause, we name it, or we name the sensation it's causing in the body. Then we can choose to respond or not, and then we can reflect and grow. Remember, these are the takeaways for the day. We are not our reactions. We are the one who gets to choose what happens next. The pause is our superpower. It can change the whole trajectory of a conversation and a relationship. And growth is messy, and that's beautiful. So perfection was never the goal. Peace is, and it starts with awareness. So the mantra for the week is, I could see peace instead of this. And now go out and respond to your beautiful, messy, extraordinary life. And I will do the same, and we will cheer each other on.
I'm so glad that you said
That's
that you
awesome.
started it off. Go ahead, Lori.
No, I was just saying awesome, Bree. Yes,
Oh,
like so
thank
good.
you.
So good.
Yep. I'm so
Thank
glad
you.
you started it off saying that this is not about perfection. You're going to make mistakes because that's pretty much how my day started when I was running AV for a preschool program. And the system or the process that the technical director uses has a major flaw in it that I've mentioned before. And today I went to load the program, and the hard drive to load the program from wasn't there. And I did the whole pause. I did the whole, hey, where is it? He's like, I forgot it at home. I have to go get it. So I have a room full of people, preschool parents waiting. And somebody was in the booth talking to somebody else, like, hey, how's it going? And I looked at him and I said, get out now. And he's like, yeah, right. I know, difficult to have a bunch of people. And I was like, yeah, get out now. And I was like, perhaps I could have handled that just a little bit better. Perhaps I could have started with a breath. I could have. And so tomorrow I will, because I'm sure something else will happen. But I also want to say that in the part where you were saying, who am I to add self-acceptance, right?
Yeah.
You wanted to add that portion. You have 500 hours certification. You have thousands of hours of working with people. You have personal life experience. So you have every right to add that and create your own thing from it. So, and it was definitely, at least from my experiences and the research and the work that I've done, not only myself, but for all the groups that I have led, it is definitely something that needs to be there. And it is definitely, you can see where that self-awareness and the next phase, there is that acceptance. It is definitely necessary. So you have every right to put that in there. So don't limit your experiences, because we know from watching you, but anybody who comes to here needs to know, exactly what you're talking about.
I'm going to change the slide and say Bree Jewels. Whatever,
Yes.
whatever.
Yes, absolutely. Own it.
Absolutely,
Name it,
honey,
claim
own
it.
it. Own
Yeah,
it. Own it.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Any other feedback or shares, ladies?
This was great. It reminded me that I need to be more intentional just in everyday conversations with people, right? And I like that Jefferson Fisher, let your first word be your breath. So the pause and the breath will help you get there, right? And it's hard in the heat of the moment. You gotta decide ahead of time, right? That you're gonna act
Yeah.
a certain kind of way. In the heat of the moment, it's easy to just react, right? But if you're already on purpose trying to not, you can think, okay, wait a minute. Oh, here's the trigger, right? So it's like spotting it in real time, doing everything in real
Yeah.
time. And so the way you broke it down really helped me. I took a picture of the screen because I'm gonna like try to do the little steps
Oh,
because it's
funny.
easy to just react in the heat of the moment or something, and then you're like, ah, crap, I just messed that up. Do over. Can we have a do over? But
Yeah.
no, that was helpful the way you broke it down. I appreciate that.
And we
Yeah,
know the universe is going to give you another opportunity to practice that.
it sure
Probably
is.
tonight.
We are on the planet of lessons.
Yes.
Right.
So
Learning.
have grace, have grace, have grace.
Well, and Tracy, I know you're super into neuroplasticity and stuff like that too. And the brain wants to conserve energy. So it's always going to try to go back to the default mode network, which is the path that has been walked over and over and over again, right?
Yeah.
I always say if you think of the mind like the mind affects brain, right? Like a field of tall grass. And we've walked this path. We've been reactionary. We've had these, whatever neural pathways have been firing and wiring together for all these years. And now we're telling our brain we want to do something different. And so that's why we have to keep practicing and repeating and practicing and repeating. And
100%, because you can build new, it's neuroplasticity. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
We're not stuck. We are not set in our ways, even if we think we are. We can rewire our brain. And the more and more and more intentional you are about it, the easier it is that those pathways are now becoming developed,
Yeah.
and you'll start taking those pathways a lot easier and a lot faster, sooner than you would have before. I remember a long time ago when I started trying to rewire my brain intentionally. It took a lot of years just to teach myself how to not complain.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But now I don't hardly ever I mean, it's like I'm allergic to complaining.
Yeah.
I just don't want to complain, And but I've rewired it. It's taken a lot of time. But I hadn't really thought about going all full circle with your, like your knee-jerk reactions and all the things that, I like it when Dr. Joe Dispenza says that the memory without the emotional charge is now wisdom. So if you've got that wisdom there, and you've been working on yourself to take away the emotional charge for things that trigger you and create that into wisdom, it'll be a lot easier to start doing all of these things intentionally, right?
Yes.
There won't be all that pent up emotion.
Yeah, no, that's so
This was really
true.
nice. I'm glad I came.
Thanks.
Well, I know
I'm glad
when
you
I'm
came too.
public and people are complaining, I'm very brave to say, is there anything you're grateful for?
Right.
No. Gratitude is super, super important. People are easy to react and complain, but really that's not our nature. That's the humanness.
It
So-
almost feels gross now.
Oh, right.
It's ugh.
Oh, yes.
I had to train myself the same. I like when I was sick, I didn't really complain, but I think I was still complaining about everything else, even just to myself, right? It was a constant, everything was a complaint. I was in total victim mentality. And then I was also victimizing myself, right? Because I was like, well, you're the only one who can change it, So it's like the bully in my head was like, yeah, you're doing that and that.
Like you're the party of one to the pity party all the time. And it's
Yes.
right?
I was the bully and the victim all at the same time.
Isn't that what we do? We beat ourselves up, don't we?
But I do appreciate the fact that the process that you're talking about, it says name it to tame it, because I think you do have to acknowledge
Absolutely.
what's happening, even if it's just I love the fact that it's like you could just focus on where in the body is it happening, so that you detach that emotional connection to it. Because then when you start paying, because as an actor, I teach actors this all the time,
Mm-hmm.
you have to remember in your life, so you name what the character's going through and attach the emotion that the character is feeling about whatever is in the scene. And then you research yourself and say, when have I felt that exact same thing? And then you recall that moment, but you no longer are living it, but you can relive it in the moment as an actor. That's why I think acting becomes such a therapy for so many people.
Mm.
It's because they get to process, and then the character makes either a different choice or the same choice, but then they get to take those shoes off at the end of the scene and they don't have to wear them anymore. But
Right.
the fact that you name it and then tame it, because I know Lori's a lot about, claiming things, right? The positive things, but sometimes we have to name it so we can put it somewhere else. And especially
Yeah.
when you detach from the emotion and just go, okay, what is the physiological response? When have I felt this before? When have I, what had happened the last time? Did I like that response? I didn't like that response. Let me choose differently, because you do have to acknowledge it. You do.
Mm. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yes. Well said.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I like how you said stay curious, because curiosity and fear cannot live in the same space. So either love and fear cannot live in the
Right.
same space. So for years with my massage clients, and they come with the same pain and the same pain, I'm like, I wonder when this is gonna release. And they're like, oh, I wonder. So it's the same thing in life. Like, I wonder when this same person or this same experience is gonna not show up anymore, or I wonder when I'll be free of this,
Mm-hmm.
because the unforgiveness, if we don't forgive the person, it's I know my mentor always said, we just keep attracting the same ex-husband, different face."
Wherever you go, there you are.
Yes.
So,
So yes, grace, love,
Um,
neuroplasticity, and wonderful Bree. Awesome, awesome.
yeah.
yay.
Thank God for the worthy
Very
community.
nice.
And
One of
then
the
Sarah said something. She said, I'm driving now, but I really felt like this whole presentation was for me and the events of today. I'm getting better at pausing. So glad I was able to even join late. See,
Thanks,
Bree?
Sarah.
Yeah.
It was written for all of us. We all
Yes.
had a day.
Me,
Didn't we?
sure.
Yeah.
well, I did not have a day today, but it was written for me included, right? Like,
Right.
we're human.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're human.
Amy, I've not met you. Are you a friend of someone else here?
I'm a friend of Sarah's, and
Oh,
Oh,
hey.
and then I met Maggie's. So
She's the Reiki master that worked with Lucy.
oh,
Oh,
okay.
Welcome.
We've heard
yeah,
Yeah.
about you.
yeah.
Yes. Okay. I haven't met you before. Is this your first time here?
No,
A second or third.
I
Okay.
think the third. The
I
third
think
time
it
you.
is the third.
So,
Excellent.
And
All right.
we're going to be launching her interview this week. And Sarah, you want to share, or Sarah, sorry, a text just popped up from her. Amy, do you want to share what you've been working on?
Sure. So I just purchased a HIT bioscan, and I am in the the depths of learning how to use it, and I'm practicing on people and researching what I find in them and learning all kinds of new aspects on how the body works, and what supplements are and what it calls for, and it is just fascinating, and I
mm,
love it, and I cannot wait to help people um, tune into what they need and also know what they don't need. And I really hope to have homeopathy as the center of what I can help people with, because it's the easiest on the body. So yeah, I'm really excited. So Sarah was over today. I was, testing her. I have to get my points down pat, but I'm looking forward to it.
Where are you? Where do you live?
I live on Grosse Ile, so I'm in Michigan. So southeast, but eventually I will be trained where people can send me hair samples, and I can do it all from other states and other countries.
Oh,
Cool.
wow. That's exciting.
That'll be neat.
Yeah.
If you need guinea
Sounds
pigs,
fascinating.
we're
Yeah.
volunteering.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, when I get to that point, I'll let everybody know who's not near me. Send me some hair.
Yeah,
Yep,
for sure.
sure.
I've been losing my hair. I
I was
lost
going to
so
say,
much.
I'm sure some of us have some.
Got some right here for you. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, that's stress, Tracy. That's stress.
I know it. I know
Stress and menopause.
it.
Yes. But what a great presentation. One of my favorite things about it is I have kind of changed the language around lessons, like having lessons, because lessons sounds like such a punishment and such a dread, and you're a victim of, because here you come, another lesson. I like to call it an experience.
Ooh, yes.
Because
Okay.
every experience has the gold little gem in it, right?
Yep.
The loop. Trial and error.
Yeah. And then when
Trial.
I'm going through a situation, I always tell my clients, lean out. Pretty
Lean
much
what?
lean out instead of
Oh.
lean into reacting. Like
Mhm.
lean out
Pull back.
as part of the pause.
Yep.
Because a lot of
Get a better perspective, right?
yeah, and just kind of like float over it and say, like, what's going on here? That's where the curiosity is.
Yeah.
Like,
A lot of
so
times too, we talk about this is a real Tony Robbins thing, but he'll say change your state. Like, cuz if you feel bad and you start doing jumping jacks or whatever, you'll laugh,
Oh.
you know?
yes.
So you immediately change, your brain, take your brain out of reaction and like the fight or flight or whatever and go into or laugh.
Yeah.
Right, instead
a
of allowing
great-
it to paralyze you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's great.
But I
What
left
a-
the state change out this time because there was a lot of boxes.
Well,
Oh my gosh. I
Or-
used to run up and down the stairs when I was making calls for Mary Kay. So I sounded out
Hi,
of breath.
Sarah.
And so I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. When I was like, oh, I'm so scared to make these calls way back in the beginning. And so I'd run up the stairs because I would change my state. So good. Ah, well,
That
thank
is-
you, Bree. What an absolute beautiful gift. Thank you for your message, your preparation, your patience with technology. It was fantastic.
Thank you, ladies. I'm glad. I thought nobody was going to be here, and like, there's so many of you.
your mind is blown. Boom. And
Boom.
I was at the same place that Bree was having lunch today. So love that. It was good seeing you, sister.
Back at you.
So
What are
cool.
the odds?
Hey.
All right, ladies, I gotta go. I gotta go teach a lesson.
Go, girl.
Thanks,
Bye,
everyone.
guys.
Bye.
Thank you,
Thanks, Cam,
everyone.
for your intro. Thanks, Amy, for sharing.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. We'll see you soon.
Okay.
See you.
Bye.